Well, it is time for some more hot sauce. Today's hot sauce is going to be a fermented green hot sauce. I'm going for something that's not super spicy, but will definitely have a little bit of kick and just a lot of really great pepper flavor and some garlickiness. So what I have here for peppers is I've got a pound of some nice little jalapenos. I've got a pound of some Anaheim peppers. I know they're super mild, but to kind of make up for that, I've got a quarter pound here of habanero peppers that are looking like they're ready to get nice and spicy. And there are 6 really nice big cloves of garlic here. So, wearing gloves, just so that I don't get my hands all ridiculously spicy, I'm simply going to cut the tops off and have the jalapenos as well as the Anaheim peppers. And then with the habaneros, I'm going to cut off the tops. I'm going to halve them, and then I'm also going to just pop these seeds out of here, because again, I'm looking for something that's not going to be too crazy hot. So the flesh of these is really quite warm as it is. So I'm going to get all these peppers sliced up, and then we will get them into a jar. All right, so I've got everything all the tops off, and they're sliced in half, mainly seeded out habaneros here, and then I also just cut the tips off of the garlic and cut those in half too. So it's time to pack into this jar, and I've got this jar sanitized with Star San sanitizer, which I use in my home brewing. So it's really handy because I've got it kicking around. You can also go ahead and just use some hot water, let it steep for a little while. Some people like to do this in their dishwasher to sanitize, just to kind of have a clean slate as far as the bacteria and everything is concerned. So I'm just going to try to pack in as much as I can here. I believe the habaneros and the jalapenos are my priority, so I'll try and get most of those in first and then see what I can get in for some of these Anaheims. Get this garlic in here too. So we'll get it all nicely packed up. All right, so now that my peppers are all nicely packed in there, really nice and tight, but still leaving some headspace there, I'm going to go ahead and make my brine, which is super easy to do. I've just got 1,000 mils of water here, or 4 cups, and I've got 25 grams, roughly 3 tablespoons or so of, this is coarse sea salt. Fine sea salt would probably work a little bit easier because it dissolves a little quicker. But either way, it's important that it's not iodized salt. So I'm just going to get this all dissolved here. And there. Pretty much all good to go. So I'm just going to add it to the jar, waiting for all that air to get out. Looks like I should have enough brine here, which is good. Depending on the size of your jar and how many peppers you manage to actually put into it, you might need a little bit more or less, but this actually works out pretty freaking perfectly there. So I do have a few seeds that have popped up here. I'm just going to pop those out because I don't want anything floating on the surface, and the seeds are obviously quite bad for that. So let's just get those out. Then I'm going to get my fermentation weight onto here as well. And just kind of help make sure that everything is underneath the surface of this brine. All right, so now I've got my, my glass weight here. It's going to go in here and just kind of help ensure that everything stays down. Look at all those seeds that just popped up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to dig these seeds out here and remove just a little bit of that water, because there is enough in here that once it starts fermenting and it kind of warms up a little bit, it would be pushing that stuff out, and I don't want to wind up with a mess. So I'm just going to get a little bit of that stuff out of here. All right, so now that that's set up, I'm going to use this awesome wide mouth airlock lid. I'm going to get it on here, twist it on, and Now, you could fill the airlock just with water. However, since I've got lots of the sanitizer made up, I'm just going to spray that into there. And like so. Furthermore, I'll just throw this little cap on here. Perfect. So there we are. Now I'm just going to leave this somewhere. I'm probably going to pop it just on the counter over here, kind of covered up with a towel, just so it's not getting a lot of sunlight or anything like that, but so that it is staying warm, and I'll be able to keep an eye on it and figure out when fermentation kicks off. So a couple of days in on this one here, and this hot sauce is definitely fermenting away nicely. Airlock kind of bouncing up and down a little bit, gas being produced, and has some of that kind of murky haze going on in there, so lots of bacteria doing their thing. All right, so my hot sauce here has fermented for 8 days now, and if you take a close look at it, you can see how nice and murky it is in there. Lots of good bacteria doing its thing. So it's now time to go ahead and finish it up and wind up bottling. So I'm just going to remove my airlock here, and you can see everything's still kind of underneath that awesome little glass weight. Now I want to reserve a bunch of this liquid, so I'm going to strain it out through this sieve. It's definitely more than I need there. I'm probably only going to need about a cup, but try and get most of it in there. I'm now going to pop out that weight. Just put that aside right there. And now we're going to see how many of these peppers I can possibly get into here at the same time. Apparently none of them. Slide them out here. All right, so we paused and just grabbed a pair of tongs here, because that's undoubtedly making it easier here. Try and get these out. And I'm using glass for this, for virtually every part of this so far, just because I don't want to risk a bunch of that heat from these peppers kind of getting into the plastic. I've got a much larger blender. It's an awesome Breville blender. However, it's made out of plastic, and I'd rather not wind up kind of stanking it up there with some crazy heat and then running into issues down the road. So, okay, I am going to be able to fit all of these in there eventually. I'm just going to stop for now, though. I'm going to add some of this brine and give it an initial mix here. So I want a cup. And look at this brine here. Look at it, it looks like lemon juice. Took on a lot of color. I'm just going to harvest a cup. And not only is that going to help out just with the liquid situation here, but it should also make it easier for this blender to kind of start doing its thing. But we'll find out right now. Okay, so much for my statement there that I'd be able to fit all of this in there. I'm going to wind up doing this in 2 batches, but I am going to want to puree the absolute heck out of this. So I'm going to let this go for another minute or so on high, and then we'll do the other half. Okay, so I blended this for about 5 minutes in total, just to get it as pureed as possible. And now I'm going to throw in the rest of the peppers, but then I've also got a couple other additions here that I would have thrown in if I could have gotten all these peppers in the first round, which obviously didn't happen. Okay, good. Good enough. So I've got roughly a cup here of just some nice cilantro, fresh cilantro. If you're not a fan of cilantro and you're trying this recipe, I'm sure you could omit this. I mean, I wouldn't eat it, but I'm sure it'll turn out just fine. And then I'm going to start off here with a 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. And again, getting that liquid in here will hopefully help that initially blend up. Might need a little encouragement. Well, it looks like I'm going to throw a little bit of this sauce back in here rather than panicking. I'll just do that. and let it mix in with that there. Perfect. Oh yeah, there we go. All right, so I mixed this one up for just a few minutes, and it seemed to get really nice and pureed. Look at that color difference here with that cilantro. It's just beautiful. I want the whole thing to look like that. So I'm just going to scrape this out, get it in here and mix it up, and then do a little taste test. See if I need to add anything to it. I think the consistency is nice. I was going for a more liquidy hot sauce here, something that'll pour half decently. Well, that really did punch up the color quite nicely. I like that. Now, let's see what it tastes like. Oh, there's a nice heat that's kind of climbing there. Nice and acidic, very, very peppery. Those jalapenos are shining through. That's delicious. Oh man, okay, so it's not too hot. It's beautiful. It can go on lots of different stuff. I'm gonna get this bottled up here next, and then I wanna try it on some stuff. Okay, so I'm just going to bottle this up here now. Try and be careful, don't wanna waste any of it. The world's skinniest funnel. Gonna take a minute. So this, upon some reflection here, is absolutely delightful. We were mulling over some ideas here. I think fish tacos would be an excellent candidate for this because you've got all that herbal flavor, you've got the cilantro, you've got that jalapeno kick, and then also from some of those other hotter peppers. But it fades really quickly, which is nice. And if you did have fish tacos, you could also have some kind of creaminess to it, and that would help dissipate that heat even quicker. But it's just a really nice, wholesome heat that's not super in your face. I'm bottling up the majority, well, some of it here in this bottle just because I think that's going to look really nice. Alternatively, a person could also use just some mason jars, but I like the little bottles. These are ones that I just got at a dollar store. You can find them for like $1 or $2 or something like that, and they just look really nice. They fit nicely in the refrigerator as well. So these sauces here, because they're fermented, they've got some serious staying power. They're not going to go bad on you or anything like that. They should last probably at least a year in the refrigerator if you keep them nice and cold. Alternatively, you could, I don't think I'd recommend actually canning them because that would probably kill the color quite a bit, and it would change the flavor. But if you wanted to like sous vide pasteurize them, you could probably do that at like 130 Fahrenheit for an hour or two, and then it would also be shelf stable and you wouldn't necessarily have to worry about refrigerating. However, I've got some fridge space, so that's where these guys are headed. So yeah, very fun. I can't wait to put this on a whole bunch of different stuff. And till next time, keep it red 11.